it would be 55%. Not necessarily technically, but in the minds of everyone, that was changing Prop 13. And Jarvis Gann said it was changing Prop 13, and it passed. So can Prop 13 be changed? Yes. And can we make some other changes? Yes. Is it going to be totally overturned? No, and it doesn't need to be totally overturned. You can provide that some protection for seniors and for escalating property tax, but make some common sense changes to it so we can get more funding for schools.
I am a very proud graduate of an excellent community college, which was Chabot College over in Hayward, where I got first-class education. So in addition to how education, of course, affects the younger children, I've been talking with a lot of people, young people, who are just very, very frustrated and angry about the fact that getting a community college education and being able to transfer to a four-year school is becoming increasingly more difficult, more expensive, and more frustrating. Is there an overall strategy that we can look at so education becomes a lifelong process, certainly important to children, but expanding the circle so that more people can relate to it?
Yes and no, to try to keep the answer brief. First of all, yeah, I think you make a really good point that we need to broaden out what we mean by education, and especially now when you know everyone's gonna have so many different careers and need to continue education. And then you talk about higher education in California, you're talking community colleges. That's where the vast majority of people are, and so I think it needs a lot more attention and support. You're totally right. This is my children now had speaking. The only concern with what I had heard you say is I think we need to broaden the support for education, but I'm a big believer in really focusing on kids, and by kids, you know, 0 to 18, whatever, because not that I don't also want a whole agenda for improving higher education and lifetime learning and adults going to community colleges, but first things first, and to me, I just cannot understand why as a country, every kid in this country doesn't have a great education and great health care. I mean, for all the things we do, it's so relatively cheap. I mean, don't even get me started on what's going on in DC on the healthcare debate. You get it, every single kid in this country, no matter what their medical condition is, great health care for a budget desk, for a teeny fraction of what they're talking about. Of course, not happening. You could get every kid a great education in this country, and it's something we all want to do. So all I'm trying to get at is what we're trying to do with children now is get people to focus on kids. Everyone likes kids, everyone wants to do right by kids. What's our problem? Let's do right by kids and keep it a kids-focused agenda. And then let's get that done, which, you know, you're all allowed to like, go get that done. We should have done it a long time ago. Let's do that, and then move on to, yeah, we need this broader lifelong learning.
Pete Peterson, who's a long-standing business statesperson, has talked for a while about the need to have the equivalent of the AARP for kids. Where is that going to come from? Do we need a voice for kids that has the same power that AARP does?
So we are launching at Children Now what we're calling the Children's Movement. We're going to be sending it, you probably all get something soon in the next few weeks. Check out our website. But the difference is we can't be the AARP, we don't think, at least not any time in the near term, because there's so many groups out there that care about kids. So unlike the AARP, which was able to sort of centralize support. So our idea is we build the children's movement and then connect with local, regional, other state groups that care about kids and have us work together under this umbrella of the children's movement. Enough is enough, let's prioritize kids. So, and with Lenny's help on this, I think we've got a strategy now, at least in California, for bringing folks to together. And, you know, again, not to put too much on the governor's comments yesterday, but I mean, it's been a long time since I've heard a California governor use the language the governor did yesterday, and that is priority. Priority has to be kids, because that's our future. That's simple. That's what we got to do, and that's what the children's movement is all about.
Based on school districts, cities, counties, and the states facing deficits and the economy being in the trouble that it is,
right,
how can we overcome these impediments to allow funding increases to education? Because we all agree education requires more funding, but it seems like as long as we run deficits for various reasons at different government levels, it makes it very difficult, because as a taxpayer, I look at it and say, well, we're going further into deficit to support education. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but maybe one of the reasons that taxpayers are worried is that it always comes down to we're mortgaging our future to live today.
Yep. There's two answers to that. First of all, at least in California, we have the highest demands on government services, and we rank about, there's lots of different ways of looking at this, but maybe like 10th, somewhere between 10th and 20th in taxes. So we should have the highest taxes because we have the highest demand on government services. So part of it is we need to raise taxes for education, and that's what we're working on with the teachers union and business community, and just for education. But the second answer, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble with maybe some of you and a lot of other people, is priorities. So we need to raise more money, increase the pie, and put it to education. But we also have to say if the pie doesn't grow or if the pie shrinks, more of it has to go to kids. So let me give you some examples. You know, there are, you mentioned the city of San Francisco. You know how many government employees there are in San Francisco who make over $200,000, who make over $150,000, who make over $100,000? How many of those are in education? A handful. A handful. So don't give me this that education's the top priority. And I don't want to get your superintendent in trouble with other folks here, but you know, what's more important, a teacher or a city planner? What's more important, a great superintendent or a district attorney? You know how many freaking people the Department of Agriculture has in Washington, D.C.? Why don't we have every other government employee live like a teacher? Have them buy their own supplies, have them not have time to go to the bathroom. So let's set priorities. This is from a progressive Democrat. I would like the pie to be big enough so I don't have to say that, okay? And that's why I said let's raise taxes. But you're saying maybe we can't, right? Hey, you know, we can only do so much. Well, let's put education first. I mean, it's a different world. I mean, I served in county government. You know, I served around and I saw some people there. First of all, I saw people there who used to be teachers who went to county government so they could get paid more. And I also saw some people in county government where I wasn't quite sure what they did. There are very few people in education where I wonder what they do.
Now